Welcome back to Sportsworld. For almost a decade, she was one of the best players in women's tennis. Last year, Lindsay Davenport took a break from the sport while she had a baby. Now the former world #1 is back. The three-time Grand Slam winner looked like she'd never been away as she strode to victory in her comeback tournament in Bali. Sportsworld's Wayne Hay caught up with Davenport to talk about motherhood, regrets and her aim of winning a second Olympic gold medal.
Making a comeback for her first singles match, please welcome back from the USA, Lindsay Davenport.
To be back in this atmosphere, it's all part of kind of learning the ropes again and figuring out, what's important to do these days.
Exactly what is important to Lindsay Davenport has certainly changed. She's now a mother.
I really, truly do not have a free moment in the day. And I love it. It's great. I've always been one that would rather be busy and have their time occupied. And before you have kids and you're kind of living this life of being in hotels and on planes, you definitely have a lot of empty time, and that's certainly not the case anymore.
Which is why she chose to stay away from most of the distractions on offer during her comeback tournament in Bali. While some of the players were sweating it out off court, at the beach or on the catwalk, Davenport could be found on court, getting back into the swing after almost a year away from the game. And the 31-year-old concedes this is a place she thought she'd never see again.
I really didn't have visions that I would be coming back to be playing again. So in my mind, I thought I was retired for a few months, and then it kind of just became a fun idea that we had that, oh, maybe I'll come back and play again. And it's been a blast to try and get back into shape.
She did more than simply get back into shape. She went all the way, winning the Bali singles title for the second time. One of the main reasons Davenport decided to return to tennis was because that competitive spirit still burnt very bright inside her. Now, it's very early days in the comeback, but it is clear she still has what it takes to compete at this level.
Yeah, I believe in myself. I know I can do it. I didn't know if 3 months after having a baby was maybe a little soon, but I know that I can play tennis, and I know that I'll do well.
Still, her return to tennis has attracted some critics who say it's too early and she should be concentrating on motherhood.
I feel like I'm doing the absolute best job I can be to be a mother. I mean, we have no live-in help. We're with our child constantly, and that's been the favorite part of my day. I don't think that leaving him for 3 to 4 hours a day to go practice is going to kind of stunt his development. And, you get to a point where you can't please everybody, and no matter who you are and what profession you are, people love to be your biggest critic. And fortunately for me, I know that I'm doing a good job with it, and he's great. I mean, he's the love of my life.
In returning, her goals aren't to regain the world #1 ranking or add to her 3 Grand Slam titles. However, something very close to her heart are the Olympic Games. She won gold for the United States in Atlanta 11 years ago and would love to emulate that achievement in Beijing next year.
The Olympics were always a huge part of my family. My father was an Olympian, and we grew up with the Olympics around us and watching it. And in 1984, it was in Los Angeles where we live. Both my parents worked it. That might be one of the small regrets I have about my careers. I didn't play in '04 in Athens. I was lucky enough to be part of the team in Atlanta and in Sydney, and I feel like it would be really cool to be a mother and play in the Olympics.
Not to mention being a mother and winning a second Olympic gold medal.
Yay, so much.
Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Bali.
Now, with the Olympics looming next summer in Beijing, the Chinese authorities are anxious for their teams to do well in as many sports as possible. They are the world leaders in diving and gymnastics and medal contenders in various other areas. But there's one sport where America are the undisputed best, and the Chinese are determined to learn from them. Al Jazeera's Brendan Connor reports.
Baseball, such an American thing. In fact, many people call this sport America's national pastime. It has a long, rich history, fabled players, and regularly millions of people go to watch baseball and to play the game as well. So for China's national women's softball team, Wanting to do well in Beijing and with a free pass into the tournament as hosts, where better to come and learn the finer points of baseball than here to America? It's a hot and humid afternoon in the suburbs outside Washington, D.C. And these fans are gathered at a small baseball stadium to watch the local professional women's softball team, the Washington Glory. The novelty today is that the home team is facing the national team from China. The Chinese have traveled a long way from home, anxious to show their skills in a game not widely played in their country, and anxious to test themselves against the acknowledged top players in the sport.
I feel very competitive and the quality is very high, so it helps me prepare for the 2008 games and to improve my skills.
The Chinese team has been playing under the guidance of an American coach, Mike Bastian. They're playing various teams across the U.S. and losing most of their games, facing some pretty tough competition. Many of these American players are just a step away from making their country's Olympic team.
The overall American softball level is higher than the rest of the world. Competing with both professional and national teams helps us to develop and prepare better for the Olympics.
One of my biggest suggestions, dreams that I gave to the Chinese Olympic Committee is that we would come over here, bring the Chinese team to America to play games against the Western world competition to help us develop our games to get prepared for the Olympic Games.
Team China does have some skilled players, and the country did win a silver medal in the 1996 Olympics when women's softball was introduced. But they fell out of the medals in 2000 and 2004. Lately, they have revitalized their program and have made some progress in the sport. But the question is, can they contend for gold in Beijing against three-time Olympic champions, America?
I think they're really far away from gold medal, especially with our U.S. team. I don't think they're stoppable, so.
As mentioned, the Chinese are struggling to win games on this U.S. tour. They are losing but learning, which is the whole point.
We are still a young team, and we have much room to develop. Nobody knows how high we can achieve, and we can only know the result after the games.
Even the opposition, the more experienced Americans, seem impressed with the skills and dedication the Chinese players have demonstrated on the field.
The Chinese team has improved greatly in the last 2 years, defensively, offensively. And the thing that most people probably don't know is that's the Olympic team, but they've got some 16-year-olds and some 19-year-olds, you know, and we're not that young. So we've been playing just a little bit longer than they have, you know, at a much higher level on a day-to-day basis. So I think that is where they're lacking. And I think that's why it's so huge that they come over and compete against all of us so that they can see it and go back and work on what they need to before the Olympics.
They do things a lot differently, more structure and stuff. And I kept thinking, man, they must think we're lazy because we don't do, you know, like they're out here 2 hours early and running and stuff. Like, I just think that that would be, you know, a different experience to be able to live it through the way they, you know, play the way they play.
With this experience in America and some hard training between now and next August, China believes it can do well at the Beijing Olympics.
The shortstop, number 6, Soon Lee.
But perhaps just as important, the cultural exchange these games offer and the opportunity to allow sport to build bridges.
It's a way to kind of reach out with an olive branch and kind of let all the differences and thought processes that you have go away and escape for if only a 2-hour period. At least it's a 2-hour period of peace.
Brendan Connor, Al Jazeera, Washington, D.C.
Well, don't forget, you can check out our website, aljazeera.net/English, where you can find all the latest sports news, watch any of our Sportsworld stories again, and let us know what you think of the show. That's aljazeera.net/English. Well, that's it for this edition of Sportsworld. I'm Joanna Gajrowska. You're watching Al Jazeera.